Okay, so continuing on, we're able to drag and drop our materials into the relevant boxes, but what we're not doing is we're not adding in our values of each material, which would cause a problem when it comes to searching our database to find out what materials we're trying to mix. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this input hidden field and put it just before the closing span tag, and that's on both the stabilizers and the compounds. So now our hidden input is inside the span tags themselves, which we're targeting to grab the name of the items. So now we're doing that. If we come back over to our page here and just refresh, when we drop these items in, and then we'll inspect the info, what you can see here, which is this div box here, this container here, is that it's still only putting in the text from that span tag. So what we need to do is we need to change a couple of the Jquery functions here, or the options rather. In the draggable function, under the start, we're going to change a material equals this dot HTML rather than the text value, because that is only taking the visible text. So now we're storing the full HTML inside of this variable, and we also want to change on the drop, or the droppable function, on the drop option, this dot HTML equals material, not the text, because we don't want to put in plain text into these boxes. We want to put the full HTML. So if we save that and just refresh this, now when we drop one in, nothing appears to have changed, but if we inspect the element, if we just open up this div box, you can see here we've got the text nodium, and we've also got the material ID, the hidden text field, or the hidden input field, sorry. So that's all working fine. I'm also going to change name to class on here. And that should do for that. The next thing I want to look at before we start sending over requests to another page is the quantity. As you can currently see, no matter how many times we drop something in, the quantity never changes. So we want to address that as well. So if we come to where we're echoing out our quantity, we're going to wrap this in another span tag and give this a class of item quantity. And we're going to do the same for the compounds one as well. So now the quantity figures themselves have span tags wrapped around them. We now need to get this quantity value, or the quantity target. So in the draggable start option, we're going to open up a new variable here and just call it quantity, and this equals this, and we want to target the parent. So what we're doing is we're when we target this span tag here, which contains the name of the item, using parent, we're then targeting the paragraph tag. We then want to target a child of that paragraph tag, so we'll use children, open and close the brackets, and inside the brackets of children we're going to put that class identifier. So we're targeting the class, the child with the class of item quantity, and that's where we're leaving it. We don't want to target the text, we don't want to grab the text of it, not yet. And we don't. We just want to target that specific span tag, so we can reference it again shortly. So now in the drop option of the droppable function, under where we're filling the box with the HTML or the material variable, what we're going to do is we're going to do yet another new variable, and it's going to be, we want to pass the integer of the quantity, so that's that block of code, or that span tag, that specific span tag we've just targeted, and we're taking the text of that. So now we're only getting an integer figure or an integer value from the text of that span tag, and on the end we just want to -1. On the next line we're going to do quantity, so we're targeting that specific span tag again, and we're going to change the text of it to equal new quantity, and we'll copy that and just paste it in the stabilizer as well. So when we come back over, we'll refresh. If you watch here, when we drop a niobium into the box, you'll see the quantity reduce, and again and again and again. The problem is, if we change it, that quantity never increases again. So that's what we're going to be working on next, because if you're going to take something out of the mixture and put it back into your bag, effectively, you want that quantity, you want the quantity to reflect that you've taken it out and put it back in your bag. Okay, so I've put in the code here. It took some time to get it working properly. So the first thing I've done is, if we come over to the div that surrounds our item list, I've given this a class of its own and called that item list. And on each of the items themselves, around the quantity, the span tag that surrounds the actual quantity figure, I've given them both individual classes. We've got a compound quantity, and then appended onto that is the ID of the item. And on the stabilizer we've done the same thing. We've got the stabilizer quantity with the ID. So if we come and have a look at one of the items, you can see down here we've got a span, and it's got a class of item quantity, and it's got a compound quantity 6. If we go down to the next one, compound quantity 7, and that continues all the way down, all the way through. So once those two classes have been given to their appropriate tags, we come down to the drop function, or the drop option on the droppable function, and what we say is that if the text of this element is not equal to nothing, or not equal to blank. So we've got a value, we've got something contained inside of this box. We're producing a target, and the target is this divs. It's a child aspect of this div container, and it's the class of material ID. And if you remember, that material ID is the class for that hidden input, and we're just taking the value of that. So we're storing that value inside of this variable. We're then running another variable here, quantity2, and we're using the pass int, and we're targeting the item list, a paragraph tag within the item list, which has a class of compound quantity plus the target. So what we're doing is we are targeting the span tag with the class of compound quantity, then the target. So we're taking the item number from this element in here, this item in here, and we're appending it onto the compound quantity when we're targeting it through Jquery. It probably sounds more complicated than it needs to be. Anyway, once we've found our quantity, our target quantity, we're targeting it again, but we're changing the text to the quantity plus 1, and this then returns or alters the original value. So if we come here, we stick a element in there, we can see it drops down. But if we were to replace this element, you can see that the quantity goes back up, and then the item that we've put in drops down. So if we put in the same item, you'd see nothing happens, because it's obviously being increased by 1 and then decreased by 1 at the same time. So we'll take this bit of code here, and we will put it right at the beginning of the stabilizer drop, and this needs to go before we enter new text inside of the certain containers. And then when we've got this class here of compound quantity, we'll just change this to stabilizer, and the same goes here. So when we save that, we should be able to come over, we'll refresh this, and then we come down to stabilizers. We change it drops down to 0, and then when we replace it, it increases again, and the one we've just replaced it with decreases. So that's the visual side of changing the quantities finished. In the next video, we're going to actually start making requests to a separate PHP script, and we're going to fill the raw material box with the appropriate materials that we're able to make with certain combinations. So I'll see you in the next video.